So we'll move on then. Now what I'd like to try and do, if we can, at the end of the four, if we've got a little bit of time, the Blaj has just bought us 5 minutes, so that's excellent. No pressure, Carlo, but we might have a few questions at the end. So you can start thinking about what your questions might be to Francois or to Blaj or to Carlo, and indeed to our last speaker, who we will have just after Carlo Borghini has spoken. Now, you've already met him this morning, but you're going to meet him again now for something a little more in-depth. You know about Shift2Rail, and you've probably heard about the concept of the new Europe2Rail joint undertaking. Here in Slovenia, SZ was part of the Europe consortium that was within Shift2Rail, so it's something that is known. But Europe2Rail, or ERJU, as it trips off the tongue, is the new framework model which Carlo is now going to take us through a little bit about, and its role in the future of the railways of tomorrow. Carlo, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning. So I will not you know what it's about, but fundamentally what I would like to carry you in this short presentation is to explain where we are, because where we are is the basis for the future, and how we intend to organize the future. So it's about a bit of building blocks and looking at how it will look like. And I was, during the break, asked about how we look at the aspect of being emission-oriented. Effectively, Shift2Rail and Europe2Rail is a full mission-oriented program because it focuses on a specific transformation system, and it tries to bring together the sector, not only, but creating synergy with other programs. So the mission-oriented approach is really embedded in the work we are trying to do in Shift2Rail. But we need to be careful, as also explained by Blatz before, on the ticketing of Francois, in his beautiful slide about the role of rail in the different type of local or intercity or beyond transportation, that rail is, as you said, the backbone of a network of different things. So Shift2Rail started with this objective, the first two, and the last one in particular. During the years, the European Green Deals has been brought on the table by Commissioner, the President of the Commission, Ms. von der Leyen. And the question is how we can contribute to reduce the carbon emission, because if you look, the contribution of rail today to the carbon footprint is 0.4% in Europe. If we double today the transport using the current trains, including diesel train, nothing changed. But where is the difference is that our market share is declining in freight cargo, 17%, and we are losing, most probably in the future, coal and oil, so it will go down, and transport will increase 35%. How we can capture it? Rail can be really the major game changer in transport and mobility. And energy efficiency, because still we have opportunity. We can transform our system from diesel to hydrogen to batteries, where it will be possible, or maybe gas, or maybe a combination of them. So rail has really a major role to play in this. And I don't go to speak about the single European railway area, because beyond this language, there is a simple concept. We produce in the middle of the continent, we export via our sea, or inside the continent. We import from our sea. We need to be sure that the ports are connected to the production site, to the consuming sites. And we need to be sure people are moving in between the different regions. So here I have only a short summary of what we are trying to do in Shift2Rail. As I said, only to give you a backbone. We are looking about reliable trains. I think it's a concept that we have discussed this morning. Commissioner mentioned about the lack of rolling stock. I would go one step further to say, can we look also at that business model? Like in Japan, the Shinkansen, that has a life cycle of 10 years, because for dynamics and engineering aspects, it cannot survive more. But a Shinkansen costs 1/3 of a European train, because the price of a Shinkansen is multiplied 2 when you upgrade a European train, and multiplied 3 when you maintain it for 40 years. But if you have a train that you change every 10 years, you can have all new technology on board. You don't need to make upgrades. The maintenance reduces. And we know there are business models also in aviation, in the automotive with this. So the question is, when we are looking at the rail, the new trains, they should be reliable and cost efficient. What does it mean? It means that we need to rethink how we are working on it. And concretely, while we are working on subcomponents, braking system, because if you want to automation, you need to have a braking system that is performing. We are looking at electromechanic brakes. We are looking at doors, because if the doors don't open in the correct time, you don't have automation system. You are late. We are looking at traction, and so on and so on. So these are all subsystems, but at the end, we need to have a performant vehicle. This is the bone, really the brain of the system, is the intelligence. And you remember we presented already 3 years ago the connected tram, and now we had demonstration about ATO, GO2 during the pandemic in UK and in Switzerland for freight and for passenger. And the target is that we start to work in the transition period between Shift2Rail and the future Europe's rail to move on down the number, to go to GO4. And many people are telling me, well, nobody will take a train, 800 people. Can you imagine 800 people on a train without driver? Everyone is flying on aircrafts that are having automatic pilot for the last 40 years, and still they have 2 pilots or 3 pilots. But the performance created by the automatic piloting cannot be achieved by a man. I think all of us experience that when you have going on holiday and you take your car, you put on the cruise control because consume less. Same logic, because it's ensuring continuous performance, and so on and so on. The automatic driving is only a solution to ensure that we maximize the performance of the system. At the end, we put more trains on the existing infrastructure, because this we can do. Today, I took a picture that you can see in my account on Twitter. I took off yesterday from Zurich to come here. The highway was packed. There were no trains on the station. It was parallel. Yeah, you can say a train brings 800 people, a car brings 1 person, so you need to have 800 cars to put it together, but still it was empty. In Switzerland, that is one of the most dense networks. Why? Because we have standards that do not allow. We need to have, as Francois said, train-to-train communication. We need to have train-to-ground communication. We need to have continued positioning. So this is the logic of the brain we are looking on. Infrastructure. You cannot have brain, you cannot have new trains if you don't have an infrastructure that serves the purposes. Because this is the derailment is a major danger. So we need to focus on combining asset management, use of energy, self-healing solution, without forgetting the importance of stations inside the town. Urban connection, the presence. I think the mayor, the deputy mayor of Ljubljana mentioned it today. We want to have a revised station or upgraded station. They are becoming hub, connecting hub. And this is the strength of the presence. Like the ports, like the ports are becoming center of distribution. So this is really where we need to work together. And this is part of the, in Shift2Rail, we are looking at the rail part. We are not looking at everything. We are looking at the rail component. But we are looking with this type of objective. Logistic, and this is another key fundamental aspect. We have been looking at rail without looking always at the real concept. Rail is only a small component or a big component, as we want to play, in the logistic value chain. The digital automatic coupler program that we are running together as a sector, CR, UIC, UNIF, UIRR, and all the association that decided 1 week ago, well, no, not 1 week ago, I lost the time, last Tuesday, to choose one digital automatic coupler type to become the European solution, create the opportunity to transform the rail system. But it's not sufficient, this is only technology. So when we look at this, we are looking at the importance of combined enablers, technology, with the digital solution. and to have really an impact on how we transport the goods. If you think about the market opportunity in front of us, as I said, we will have a decline in transport of maybe minerals and maybe oil, but we'll have the opportunity to look at the transformation that the postal service had in the last year. How many of us would have believed that the postal service would have been changing completely? But they catch a completely different opportunity. In this rail, what it has to do. And, well, I will not go in this, but we have been working on an interoperability framework that is the basis for all the solutions that will come up. Fundamentally, an opportunity to integrate the system without having to change your mainframe system. Clearly, as François explained it perfectly before, and Blush, I think, more, the idea of is not technology, it's really the capacity to exchange data, is the capacity to reach agreement, because already solutions are existing. And I agree with Blush who said, well, the commuter is not the aviation. We don't have commuting. But at the end, we have an experience that we can go commuting between continents and be in trouble when we land in Europe to find which is the coins we need to use to have a ticket for urban transport or for rail. This is not a service. You cannot take 1 hour and 20 minutes to go from Brussels to Paris and 1 hour to go to your final destination. You cannot go from Milano, Roma in 660 kilometers in 2 hours and 20 minutes and spend 1 hour to go to your location. It's not acceptable. And this is where we can change the system. So these are the solutions that we are bringing forward. And only to give you an idea, this is not only something that has paperwork. You can go on our website, you have the link there, and you can play the different technologies that are in the pipeline to be demonstrated in the next couple of years. And you can see the impact that will be on the different type of network. And the impact, and you can see, for example, the freight, the increase of capacity can come from the enablers like the digital automatic coupler, like long trains, like automatic shanty yarding, and so on, preparation activities.